Alright, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are already underway, as you can see. Got Mikan versus Thalanee here. I am Melee. I'll be joined by a commentator very shortly. Bear with us until then. Alright, well, for those who aren't familiar, this is standard mode with randomized swords, so normally in Escape here, you'd be getting a sword at Uncle. That's not the case. Well, maybe it's the case, but it's very rare. So our weapon today is going to be the hammer. Alright, that's a pretty easy one. But you can get any weapon from Uncle, pretty much. The cane of Burna, the bow, the fire rod, lots and lots of different ones, and Mikan getting a really lucky palm drop right at the start. That's amazing. Lane also similar luck. Alright, well, talk about these two runners. Should be a very close match, I would expect. Both these runners are very good. Mikan has a slight experience advantage, I would say, but Thalanee also puts up really good times, so I'm very excited to see how this race will play out. The hammer, of course, is basically just a sword, so does make the escape sequence pretty easy. Alright, coming up on the second chest here, just a 20 rupee drop. Early money's nice. We will be needing that shortly in Kakariko to buy something from the bottle vendor. Something useful, hopefully, but maybe not. Won't be needing to spend that on bombs, we got plenty of those right away. Oh no, Mikan taking a death in Escape. Getting some bad luck there with that green guard chasing them. It's unfortunate. I do believe my co-commentator will be joining us very shortly, so... Yeah, one of the dangers with the hammer is that it does bounce off the sword if you're in an awkward position. It can make it awkward to fight these guards.
Alright, I made it.
Alright, hello, Elminster.
Hey, how are you doing, Maui?
I'm doing pretty good, really excited for this race. How are you?
I'm alright, I just woke up.
Well, we do appreciate you stepping in, making sure I got somebody to talk to.
So yeah, I do expect a good race out of these guys.
Yeah, as do I. I think they are both very, very skilled. Unfortunately, Mikan got a bit set behind from an early death and escape, but these things happen.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that more often in our randomized uncle weapon mode that we have now. since people will be getting things that they're not altogether familiar with using as a weapon in Standard.
Yeah, some of those are pretty difficult. I think bombs are the most difficult of the entire pool, but that's not to say it's the only difficult one.
Oh, and we have the book in the back of Escape on Thalane's side.
We
Mikan
do.
with 8 bombs will be getting that as well.
Very interesting. It's always nice to see an early book, though it does have a few implications, I guess you could say, because desert becomes open, but desert can also be completely a big waste of time just with just the book.
Yeah, especially since to beat desert, you do require a fire source and glove at the very least.
Yeah, we did find the ice rod in Sanctuary. I could tell what that was. Very quick map check. I believe that was the green pendant at Eastern, and hold on, was it? So quick. I think the 5-6 crystal is at Hera.
We'll have to try and see again on Mikan's side, or see if our tracker has gotten that information.
Yeah, even the crab giving bombs today, so very generous overall. Oh, and there's a sword in the Lumberjack Cave.
Oh, we likely are not going to be picking up that sword.
Yeah, that's rough. That's one of the weird locations, because we do require a sword to actually get that sword. And as far as completion of the game goes, you only need 2.
I think the only way that we'll see our runners getting that sword is if we end up having Aghanim required for any other reason. Oh, and that's the Moon Pearl in the Thieves' Hut.
Alright, we're just missing a glove upgrade now for Dark World access. And that's one thing about the early hammer is it's one of the items that can help determine if Aghanim is required or not. Finding it that early suggests probably not. We do have Thalanee coming over here to give us a very, very early pedestal check.
Oh wow, yeah. This is we get to be disappointed early.
Yeah, we don't have time to get our hopes up today. I know Mikan also likes to do the early pet check when you get booked this early, so they'll probably be doing the same. We'll be relieved, I'm sure.
It's definitely a good idea if you get booked straight away, because it can be difficult to find a good time to check pedestal later. The best time to check pedestal late game is when you're in the Skullwoods area with the mirror, and that doesn't always happen.
You're very correct. Alright, we find Quake in the well. Any other goodies down here?
We've got a blue mail and big 20, blue boomerang, and another piece of heart.
Alright, that's not bad. Blue mail is always welcome, especially early.
Yeah, we've only got 3 hearts so far. Hopefully we'll see more before these runners leave Kakariko. There's 13 locations that can be checked total without additional items like the bottle for sick kid.
Well, there's one. The cape, oh no. There's another heart as well. Always nervous when I see an early cape.
Yeah, that early cape is a fairly large indicator towards Aga 1 being required. We do need a sword to cut the curtains, and we do need the lamp.
Well-
Well,
So about that lamp.
so, I think these runners are hoping to find one of those gloves really quickly before they find another sword.
I would agree there. Aghanim can be required for Dark World access, and that's looking like the only scenario where that's required. Could be a good thing if it is required. We'll give them access to that sword later without actually feeling bad about it. But we'll see.
Yeah, that could be a blessing in disguise if the other sword upgrades end up being elusive. I'm gonna get a library check from thalanee, and it's just a bomb upgrade.
Just a big 20 at the race game. Not really worth the effort. It'll be interesting to see where thalanee decides to go from down here. South Shore is the safest choice, I would say. Mini Moldorm Cave and all that. They could opt to go left to desert, though.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if thalanee does that. They do have a much larger chance of being able to beat desert on the first go. So they're only lacking a glove for it at this point.
Yeah, and one interesting thing to note is the old man in the desert does have a high chance to have a progressive glove in this version. So it could be there.
Oh, does he? I didn't know that.
Ooh, there's boots. The desert is calling.
I am surprised thalanee is ignoring that red rupee in the dam.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy one to pick up, and you never know. That could be the difference between not having enough money for Sora and having enough money for Sora, or any other the locations that require rupees.
Alright, thalanee attempting to do the mini Moldorm Cave with bombs only, because hammer is really difficult to hit these guys with.
Mikan using the ice rod. I approve.
Yeah, it's a pretty good strat, actually. I wasn't sure if they killed that. Oh, and we have a sword and a glove,
Oh no.
as well as powder. So, Aga 1 is dead, pretty much.
Pretty much. Okay, Mikan did skip the dam. It seems like they wanted to check Mini Moldorm Cave and come back over here. Perhaps to head to desert right afterwards.
I think that's a really smart move from him. It optimizes the routing a tiny bit. And it's a pretty clear indication he intends to go to desert afterwards. That's not something he normally do otherwise.
Yeah. They both did skip the Ice Rod Cave, which might play in later, but for right now it will keep them still even. So, if there is something there, it won't be a detriment to either of these runners right yet.
It's really nice that they're going to be able to beat desert, because it is a long walk there. And I think we saw the single arrow in Nagina's cave.
Yeah, that was that's not worth the bomb.
Just bombs on the desert ledge. The desert ledge is interesting because it's like your very early indicator of whether an early buck actually pointed to something you needed to do. But we'll see. We'll see them open the map chest pretty soon. Desert also has the potential to be boots locked if there's one of the keys on the torch. Oh, and we have the big key.
Okay, so what is in the torch? Is that small key or an item? It's small key.
I actually did momentarily forget they had the boots because they're they were just picked up. So we have a pretty good desert care package right off the bat. So I actually wonder if Lion Wallace has something that's required for early game.
Yeah, it seems very likely that there will be something in here that will push them to another location. The bug net, of course. And we saw both items, so...
Yeah, so I guess that's not happening. There's only 2 non-dungeon map compass key items in Desert. They do have Dark World access already, though, so...
Yeah. But coming here with all the indicators for it was the smart play. And it is a crystal, so it's required. Getting this knocked out really early, even before 25 minutes, will feel really nice. So Mikan making up a good chunk of time from that early death and escape. These two are like right neck and neck.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure where this time save came from exactly. I guess just overall execution throughout so far.
Maybe it's the bunny speed. I can only speculate. Alright, well there's a few ways to do this fight. Ice Rod does damage Lemolus. Not a ton of magic for that though.
Yeah, it looks like we're seeing a pretty much sword-only fight. I think Mikan's gonna go for a couple Ice Rod shots though.
Yeah, it does do Fire Rod damage, so it will two-shot them.
The hammer does do twice as much damage to Lion Molus as the fighter sword, but it's very hard to land hits with properly, and it's very easy to just walk into the Lion Molus and take a bunch of damage that way. Thalanee cleaning up pretty nicely with spin attacks. The spins are nice because they have a better chance of hitting multiple at once. But with Fighter Sword, the spins don't actually do extra damage.
Alright.
So the way that sword damage classes work is spins increase it by 1. So a spin from the Fighter Sword will do Master Sword damage, but the Light World bosses generally, they don't take extra damage from Master Sword because the game devs did not want spins to do more damage against them.
There's a lot of really interesting, like, for example, in that same sort of vein, like Mothula being immune to the Butter Sword in the vanilla game. Lots of interesting little details as far as damage values go.
Yeah, that's more an artifact of spikes being level 4 sword damage.
I see.
For some reason, like, I suppose they didn't expect Moth to be fought with the gold sword, even though you can still get that and delay Moth super late in the vanilla game. So we saw Thalanee get 300 rupees in Bonk Rocks. That's pretty useful, so they did not have a lot of money beforehand. Mikan's about to get that, and Thalanee is heading the long way around to the Kakariko portal, which without Titan's Mitt and with only Hammer and Power Glove, you need to approach it from the Lost Woods entrance, which takes quite a bit longer.
Yeah, it's a huge detour. Okay, I do not believe Mikan checked the Lumberjack Cave on their first trip, now that they have boots and pretty much everything you need for Aghanim. They want to make sure. Not going to get a whole lot of answers there, unfortunately.
So both these guys actually have Hammer and Powder. They had not checked the Magic Bat. I think that would have been a good idea before heading to Dark World, actually.
Yeah, I agree as well. Whenever you get those two items this early, I think it's always worth it to check that. But it's one of those locations you don't really think about early game because you very rarely have access to it this fast.
Yeah, I forget it very often. I don't blame either of them for not doing that.
Yeah, and I believe Mikan was more interested in Death Mountain, so maybe they'll check that when they head over there. We did see that Thieves Town and Skull Woods are both pendants.
And I believe Palace of Darkness was our crystal number 6. Mikan not finding anything of value in Spectacle Rock Cave, so it looks like he's saving and quitting. He's going to Link's house, so he might be checking out Hype Cave right away. Curious where he'll go after that.
Yeah, I'm personally a fan of checking Hype Cave just when you can, because it's something you're almost certainly going to check at some point, and doing the south side of Dark World can help your routing when you get to Village Rock House. For example, if you have a mirror, it makes it a lot more tempting to go to the graveyard area. So I like it. Ooh. 2 really good items in Hype Cave.
Yeah, we have a bottle with the fairy in it, and the Cane of Samaria. And that bottle is going to open up Sick Kid's item in Kakariko. The cane is going to be necessary to complete Misery Mire and to really even set foot in Turtle Rock.
Yes. Misery Mire requires for completion. Turtle Rock needs it to actually just get in the door. Right, the lane did opt to come all the way back here. Looks like they will be completing Thieves Town even though it is a pendant, knowing the pedestal is nothing.
That's an interesting play to make this early on with so many other options. There aren't too many. Mikan did go to Death Mountain, but he did not have enough items to... Oh, there's the flippers.
Oh boy. Well, that just opened up quite a few more locations. As far as logic goes, anyway. Got the Zora. Ooh, Mikan is very close to having Zora money as well.
Oh, and we find the flute in Thieves Town. That is required to get to Misery Mire. It's in the big chest, no less.
Wow.
It looks like that lane's having trouble with the jellies on the way back.
They're just really excited they found a flute and slipping all over the place. Guys, be careful though. Alright, they're done with the conveyor room.
For a second I thought he was going for an intentional death warp. Which wouldn't have really made sense.
No, I don't believe the maiden comes with you in that scenario.
She does not. I've seen runners in the the vanilla No Major Glitches tournament that's currently going on. Suffer from having a death there.
And that's a long walk back.
He did make a really good call in going to the left and powdering that anti-fairy for a fairy, since he was down to 1 heart and would have had a pretty tough time with blind. The fight is very deterministic, and if you do it correctly, blind will do the same thing every time if you hit him on each phase as soon as possible. But it's still pretty easy to take a hit on the 3rd phase.
Yeah, there's just so much going on. It can be really easy. Just to take a little fireball, bump into a head. Mikan is 1 rupee short, Azora.
He was using the boomerang to try and check the stun prize, I believe. And it's a single rupee. We have a vanilla stun prize, and it is just enough for him to get Zora money.
That is perfect. There was another bottle on the ledge. I'm not sure if Mikan will be getting that or not.
We also have a vanilla 300 in the Sea House, and it looks like Mikan's deciding not to get that bottle. Some runners will opt to get visible, like, safety items that are only slightly out of the way, and some won't.
Yeah, the bottle is one of those, you know, debatably safety sort of items, because without anything in it, of course, it doesn't actually do anything for you. Mikan is dirt poor right now. But they are doing what you were hoping for, checking this bat for us.
Yeah, we'll see if this leads to anything. I don't think Zora's area ended up being too useful.
Just a piece of heart, worse than the vanilla game.
I also only just noticed that both runners are using the blue color option for the hearts. That's new to version 29. It's an option for colorblind people. May have difficulty distinguishing between red and black, actually. I know we had somebody in the Key Sanity tournament that had that issue. But it's also just cool for people who don't have color blindness, but are able to pick their favorite color. I completely didn't notice because they both chose the same one, which is uncommon so far, it seems. Dalian's going to be picking up his Canis Amaria. Mikan's heading to Skullwoods. No Fire Rod, so cannot complete it yet, but we'll be able to get maybe one or two of the 2 items that are in here.
Yeah, I do not believe that Thalanee came in here. And ideally we might not have to complete this as well, since it is pendant. Oh, Thalanee, you gotta go back for that. Finding the mirror in the big chest in Skull Woods.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, that is required for Swamp Palace. If nothing else, it's required for that.
Yep, and it's in a pendant dungeon, so we have 2 important items in pendant dungeons so far.
Yeah, Sick Kid had a sword.
Oh wow. that sword is pretty important because we know that there is a sword blocked off by Aga at Lumberjack, which they will not be getting.
Yeah, almost guaranteed at this point they will not be getting that. Mikan checking the Bubber Cave. We did get the cape very early. There's 300 bucks up there. Mikan cannot be picky about their money right now. So even though it's a little out of the way, we're going to go get that.
Yeah, so he's gotten the major expense in the game out of the way, but we still need 110 rupees for a key to open Palace of Darkness, and we still need potentially 100 rupees for the super bomb after getting the 2 red crystals. We have the fire rod and ice rod cave. That's a good spot for it.
That's the completely wrong place for that.
But I can't quite remember if we saw 2 items in Skullwoods or just the mirror.
I believe it was just the mirror.
So there is still an item in the back. Could be needed, could be not. But interesting to me that this whole time Fire Rod was a Sphere 1 item, accessible right from the start of the game.
Yeah, I think that would hurt Mikan a bit more when they realize that. They might think their opponent went there instead. Just because of the way they decided to route South Shore. They did do the exact same thing though, so...
So that lane is actually pretty set for Turtle Rock once they get Titan's Mitt, which pending what medallion it is, but it's a super nice position to be in because you know that once you actually set foot in Turtle Rock, you're not going to have to double dip it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not the worst dungeon to have to double dip, but it's always still something you don't want to have to double dip.
It's a decision that you don't want to have to make generally. Okay, Mikan's going into Thieves Town. We'll see if he does the 4 chest check and leave, or if he clears the entire dungeon, which he'll need to do that to find the flute. I think he's gonna go in the back. He's checked several other things at this point.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of other more appealing options. He did, with the mirror, get access to Hera and the east side of Death Mountain. So I'm a little worried, but we'll see what they decide.
He does have the mirror out currently, so
Oh, no.
I wonder if that means he's gonna mirror out straight away. Oh, he's doing it. He's mirroring out. He's gonna miss out on that flute.
Oh no.
This isn't the worst thing in the world, but it does raise the question of when he's going to go back in there and get it. We have so we've got Mikan's missing the flute from Thieves Town. We've got Dalian's missing the mirror from Skullwoods. So
yeah, they will both have to make a return trip at some point.
So I'm curious which one is going to get each other's item first. I have a feeling thalanee is going to get that mirror first because, like the unfortunate thing about what Mikan's done is he's now already gone into Thieves Town, and it's sort of like semi-crossed off his list. And going back there is it is like an objective time loss over just having done the whole thing in the first place. So it incentivizes going back there a little less, but depending on how much he's able to get done without that flute, he may go back there soon. But the flute is also, its use is very specific. Going to Meyer.
Yeah, unless Meyer has some more progression for us. I don't think it actually cut off what he would like to do. And we do need the Titansmiths for that as well, which is a little worrying. Since Titansmiths also opens up a bunch of other stuff.
So Thalanee actually got rid of his fairy so that he could buy a green potion.
It does look like they're heading to the pod area right now.
It is actually surprising that they're doing this over completable Skullwoods, though I guess Skullwoods is a pendant, so...
Yeah, in Skullwoods you can be digging around for items for quite a while, and it's only 2 of them. At the same time, this is a bit of a risk. Oh, I understand. Okay, they bought a potion so they could use the minor glitch in the back half. So that makes sense.
Oh, I'd completely forgotten about that. Yeah, so that's it's a relatively new find.
We'll let them check everything. They won't be able to kill Helmasaur King, but they will be able to do everything else with some clever routing. They do not have the mirror, unfortunately.
Wow, we have the Tempered Sword, so all of the swords outside of Lumberjack have been found.
That has to be a relief. For sure.
Alright, and he's heading to the right side, so he's going to be heading straight to do that potion glitch.
Yeah, he does have hammer, he does have the boots, so routing through this dungeon won't be terrible. Ideally you would want the mirror, just to make it even faster. Alright, so basically what you do, you use the potion in this hallway before the camera locks. You stick to the right side of the wall, bump in, and as you can see the camera is stuck. Or not stuck, rather. And then you just move all the mimics off screen and the door opens. It's a really interesting find.
It's pretty funny that the game functions this way, that it only looks at what enemies are on screen.
Out of sight, out of mind, apparently.
The game is so each room that's loaded is actually entire 2x2 screens are always loaded at once. These 2x2 screens are called a super tile. And like these big rooms, like the pod arena and the bridge room here, those are one super tile. But the screens that are smaller, the adjacent rooms that are part of the 2x2 are also loaded at the same time. So for the kill everything to open doors, they would never open if it looked at all the enemies that were loaded in the room at the same time, if there happened to be other enemies in the tiles next to them.
Linked to the fastest program in some very interesting ways that I found over my time learning Randomizer. Mikan did find Bombos over here on the east side of Death Mountain. So we have our 2 medallions. Just missing the ether.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Also getting red mail, so... this is a rare bomb jump you normally don't see. A little bit faster if you can get it. In very rare scenarios, but good to keep in mind. I wasn't sure if that was going to work with the beetle hugging the side, but it worked.
That bomb jump, I think top runners of vanilla NMG used to do that to save a tiny bit of time. I'm not sure if that's faster in the current pod route that they do.
I'm not sure. I do know thalanee does have some MNG experience. Could be where they picked that up.
He found Kate Berna in the basement. With the cape and a bottle to use for a magic extension, that does not open anything new in the logic. They had Spike Cave access ever since finding the cape and the Moon Pearl, I guess.
I believe they checked that as well. Mikan finding the shovel in Sarashta's hut. The lane did not have a chance to check this, since they went straight to Dark World, didn't have the mirror.
The mirror is really, really nice to have in pod. It helps a lot with their routing. So Mikan won't really have to do things like go backwards through the arena, do the bridge bonk, and then walk all the way from there to the left side of the bridge to bomb that out. Be able to route this a lot more efficiently.
Well, they're only going to be able to check this one chest here, unfortunately. It does have a sword, though. They did not get a potion for the minor glitch, so they're done.
Oh, you're right. I did not even realize that the skipping the bow requirement on the right side was going to actually provide the access to the rest of pod.
I don't believe the rest of pod had anything of real value, so that's actually not too bad for Mikan. Wow, Mikan is getting all the fetch quests. They don't even have the flute to make it easier.
So the bow was logically required for everything that was obtained in pod, so which was not really anything. But it suggests that the bow may not have been leading to any additional items. It may be one of their last items for Go mode.
Bow just have that reputation sometimes.
That's one thing you have to keep in mind as well when doing logic breaks. A more common thing that's actually kept in mind is locating the flippers. So if you need flippers for Swamp Palace, you usually want to avoid doing sequence breaks such as fake flippering into Ice Palace to look for them, because you know, or to look for items, because you know flippers can't be in there, so that's one less item you need that could be in there.
Yeah, and it can be easy to lose track when you do the last sequence breaks of where's what and what's in logic, what's not.
So, like, depending when this bow becomes available, Mikan may be able to go mode pod, and that would save him a lot of time if he was able to do that. A lot of this time that he's losing, not having the flute.
Yeah. the big key was in the dark maze, so that's not like the most ideal location for that. But yeah. Since you only need the big key and a one small key to actually get to the boss. In the ideal scenario, that would be very quick. Alright, where are you going, Mikan?
It's probably going to the pyramid. And then maybe catfish.
That would make sense. They have the mirror, they have the mushroom. Witch hut is along the way. Maybe they just get that mushroom.
That's true. That's actually one of the best opportunities you can get to drop that off, especially him not having the flute. I find the pyramid is also one of those items that is easily left very late if you don't find a good opportunity to route it in.
Yeah, especially in standard where the escape sequence is already done. The only really convenient time to do that is when you're going to check Catfish or the Pyramid Fairy. And depending on where the crystals are laid out, you might not actually get that opportunity very early. Oh, you're not taking the full heart container? I take that. 100 times out of 100. It's right there. Well, anyway, Mikan is coming up on a catfish.
I probably still would have taken it, because, like, really anything can happen. But he does have red mail, so it's probably pretty inconsequential. Oh yeah, we do have Fire Rod outstanding for Mikan as well, which is in the Ice Rod Cave, which is... it's one of those pesky, out-of-the-way sphere items, or sphere 1 items you don't normally want to walk all the way to. He also doesn't have the flute, so that's difficult to get to for him.
Yeah, the flute would be the ideal circumstance, because then it's a very quick check. But without it, you gotta run all the way down, to the right, then up. Alright, they're heading back over here. They need to check Sick Kid, at least. What they'll do after that will be interesting. They're in the right area for where they need to go. The lane is coming up on that mirror very shortly, too.
It's pretty fortunate that Mikan hasn't found anything hugely important yet. Especially something like Titan's Mitt, which could lead him far astray, but it looks like he's not choosing to go back into Thieves Town just yet. Thalanee is about to get his mirror. That's huge for him.
That is ginormous. Mikan did get the shovel. So they're going to be checking that. I'll be interested to see what they do after that. There's not really many options left for Mikan either. They've checked all of Death Mountain, they've checked Zora, they checked Catfish. There's only a few things outstanding for them. I believe Spike Cave's one of them, and Thieves Town, and Ice Rod Cave. So like you said, it is very fortunate they did not actually find anything of really immediate value. Oh no.
Oh, he's going into Swamp Palace without the hook shot. Maybe, actually, I don't know. But he is certainly in the area.
Oh no. Well,
he may check the Bombos tablet first. I don't know if he did that.
I don't believe so. Well, if Hookshot isn't here, that would be really nice. Or Mitts, I guess.
Yeah, we have not seen it yet.
Unfortunately, if they do find anything in here, it's going to lead them further astray, away from that flute.
Yeah, like, literally the best thing that he could find in here is the hook shot, which will let him complete this dungeon and nothing else. And we'll also prevent a double dip, obviously, which swamp double dip is one of the worst ones. Because... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, just because opening up the dungeon does take a significant amount of time.
Elaine playing at Moth, getting the blue pendant and a map. Not too bad of a fight, I think.
Yep, Mothula is one of those fights that can go very, very poorly, depending on how RNG treats you. It only takes 4 Tempered Sword hits to actually beat Mothula, but getting those 4 can be quite difficult because of the way Mothula does not take damage if you knock her into spikes.
Yeah, and that's also because ALTTP has... Oh my god. I'm actually kind of curious that he didn't check that chest before Moth, considering Skull is a pendant, but that lane now has the Titan's Mitt.
That is pretty big, unless the bow is somewhere like here in Swamp Palace. That would be unfortunate.
Alright, so that lane's going into Ice Palace. It is a crystal, does need to do it, but Titan's Mitt also, since he has both the Flute and the Mirror, Titan's Mitt also opens up both medallion checks at the very least for Misery Mire and Turtle Rock, if not completion of both as well.
Yeah, it's a kind of a tough situation because ideally you would want to go Mud Ice Palace, but at the same time you'd also like to do Turtle Rock as your last dungeon. So the opportunity to go Mud Ice Palace may not actually present itself.
Yeah, given those two things, I may have actually gone to Mire straight away. You get 2 items from the Mire Shed, and you get to check the medallion. And there is also Checkerboard Cave open, since we have the mirror. So Mikan is experiencing probably the single worst thing about venturing into Swamp Palace without the hookshot, and that's that you have to go all the way to the left side and drop down both holes individually, because you do not have the hookshot to cross the gap. That's on top of having to do left swamp, which is a huge time sink for 2 items just by itself.
Oh, there's the big key. It's gonna keep him in a little bit longer. Let's hope it's a vanilla big chest for Mikan's sake.
That would be pretty insane if it was.
Lane does not have book shot, so having to do with the bomb jump here in this jelly room.
I think he got it second try or so, not too bad.
Oh, it's just a big 20 in the big chest, unfortunately.
That's pretty bad time sink for him. I wonder if he's kicking himself or not, going to Bombos Tablet before Swamp. But he's definitely been feeling behind, so he decided to gamble. Yeah,
they decided, I'm not going to check the back half of Thieves Town, and then they just tried to push that gamble as far as they could. Which isn't a bad decision. You can't flop away the choices you decide to make against good opponents, because you're just wasting time for no reason in that case. I think they finally realized where they need to go, though. It's the last thing they can do. Aside from the Ice Rod Cave, anyway.
This feels bad too, watching Mikan go the long way around, because he still does not have the Titan's Mitt.
Yeah, and what Mikan did in Thieves Town wasn't a bad decision by any means. In fact, that's a very common play for most runners, just to do the first 4 checks in Thieves Town and peace out. Just unfortunate the Fluid was in the back this time.
So thalanee getting a... Oh my god. Did you see that bonk on Mikan's side?
I did, that was pretty sick. Definitely intentional, by the way.
So bush bonks are they aren't the most common thing. You have to have pixel perfect alignment to bonk off them. So otherwise you'd either nudge them or cut them with your sword. So that, and then bonking from that into the bomb tree, which also boosts you, is pretty funny. Thalanee also doing a bomb jump across the gap in the room that's above the big chest, both ways to check that chest in the iced tea room more quickly.
Yeah, bombs are really useful for the navigation of a dungeon. Who would have thought? Keys? Who needs keys? Floors? Huh. Alright, well this, did they buy another potion for coming in here? They must have. Or found one along the way. Anyway, cold stare. He's out of there.
Pretty easy fight with the fire rod. Or, more specifically, with extra magic to use the fire rod with.
Yeah, Tempered Sword helps a lot as well.
Yeah, anything worse than Tempered Sword is pretty bad for Cold Stare. Master Sword is 16 slashes for each puff. The Fire Rod is nice to have magic available to use, because it does the same damage to Cold Stare as the Gold Sword, which is only 4 hits each, and the splash damage can hit multiple puffs, so that's nice. So Thalane's finally going to Mire. Gonna see what that medallion is. I think that's Quake.
I also think that's Quake.
I think we're good for Mire.
Alright, Mikan did get their flute. We'll be opting to complete the dungeon. You might as well. I believe that blind does in fact have an item, so you don't want to get burned by this dungeon twice in one day. Alright, there's a shield in the mirror checkerboard cave. We're not going to be getting that. We know where all 3 We know where all 3 shields are now. I believe the 3rd one is on the Ether Tablet. Going to be joining that sword in the Lumberjack Cave of things we never pick up. So with that in mind, Mikan is basically Ice Palace behind the lane right now. It's not as bad as it seems, I would say. They do have Tower of Hera cleared, which the lane has not done.
he still has to find the fire rod, which is in the ice rod cave. He's gonna need that to get the Titan Smith, which is in the back of Skullwoods. So
Yeah, I imagine that's the next spot they're going to be going because they have so few locations to check. Or, yep, here we go. And the nice thing about Fire Rod is it opens up exactly one thing. Ooh, Mikan making use of the portal they left, in fact. Coming straight back here.
that's actually pretty nice. I don't see that too often. We did see a pretty early big key in Mire, but Dallane's still looking for the two items in here. We're still missing the bow and the hookshot.
Yeah.
And we still don't know what Turtle Rock's medallion is.
And Delane does not have Bombos. I believe that's on the east side of Death Mountain. So they don't actually know that's there. And that's just how Mire is. When you want to go mode it, big key's in the last possible location. When you don't, the big key right there at the start. Mikan did come here to check this chest first. Does get a Titan Smith. They don't have to fight Mothula. That's actually a pretty significant time save compared to what Delane ended up doing. Granted, their Mothula fight did not take very long.
They're still going all the way back there, going through all those rooms. So I think what Mikan did was a lot smarter in that regard. Check that chest first to see if it has something. Like we've known since 8 minutes in that the pedestal did not have anything.
Yeah. And I believe that Ice Palace did not have anything of very significant worse. So if Mikan can actually go with that dungeon, that is also a potential time save down the line.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy. I wouldn't count him out of this race just yet. We also have Palace of Darkness with nothing.
Yeah, that was the unfortunate downside, I guess, of Delane's Secret Break in there. Did not actually amount to anything. It will make their return trip faster, but between the two options of having to go in there a second time and going in there once and completing it, I gotta go with the second one, usually.
Okay, so he's going to, Mikan's going to Mire right behind Thalane now. He's still down, he's down Ice Palace right now. He does have all of the time-consuming portions of Swamp Palace checked already, so he's got that going for him as well.
Yeah, that is another potential point of contention because if Lane's not in go mode when they go into Swamp, they will be checking the left side for sure. Opting to use the dash strats with the cape, always a really nice one.
Yep, no bow for this fight, it's having to use the sword on the big eyeball.
Takes a while. There we go.
So I imagine we're going to see thalanee hit up Dark Death Mountain next, which neither runner has made their way to yet.
Yeah, I think that would be the smartest choice they could make. Dipping into Swamp House with Hookshot is never really something you want to do.
I'm curious if Mikan is going to go there as well. Because if he finds what he needs there, and he does have everything he needs for Turtle Rock, pending the medallion, so he may end up being able to go mode Ice Palace, like you said.
Yeah, it's a tough call. Ice Palace, of course, you can complete that, you can full clear it. And saving Turtle Rock as your final dungeon is very tempting, but I'm not actually sure what Mikan will end up doing.
Well, saving Turtle Rock for last is about a minute. And full clearing extra dungeons is definitely more than that. You can get 6 items, or actually no, not 6. 6 with Hookshot Cave, but they don't have Hookshot, so they'll be missing out on 3 unless they find it. But there is the items in Super Bunny, the first chest in Hookshot Cave, which you can bonk to, and having the knowledge of what Turtle Rock's medallion is, even if you're not able to enter it, but Mikan likely will be able to enter it at this point. Good point from chat that thalanee actually has not made his way to Death Mountain at all, really, because he got the mirror much later.
That is true as well, so they have quite a few things to be checking up here. Mikan needs a key. I guess they could just walk to the left and use the warp instead. Looks like that's what they're going to be doing. When you put it that way, because Mikan does have 2 medallions, I think it would be smart to go up to Dark Death Mountain and just see if you can get in or not. Because if you can, like you said, that's a lot of items.
Yeah, Turtle Rock has, like, if you can get into Turtle Rock, that's 5 items you can get from the dungeon out of, I want to say 12 possible locations.
Yeah, plus Mimic Cave, so it's kinda like 6 items.
Yeah, kind of. Thalanee taking a fall to Mordor actually had his back facing the Moldorm with the sword out, trying to get another spin attack in.
I advise people not to turn their back on Trollorm. It does get him though.
It's not really that bad with the better sword, like especially a tempered sword. It usually goes down very fast, but mistakes do happen. I still say Trolldorm is a myth, by the way.
Do you? In what sense would you classify him as a myth?
I would say that people should generally take a bit more responsibility for their falls to Moldorm.
Wow. You may be onto something there. He does behave in a very predictable way.
Mikan's way of dispatching the big eyeball actually a little bit more efficient than Thalane's. As he was slashing Vitreous directly into the wall.
Yeah, it does reduce some of the recoil. Makes it easier to get more slashes in much quicker.
Thalane's about to get Bombus. And soon we're gonna see if that, well, if he can get into T-Rock, really.
Yeah, I think he almost certainly will be. I believe we've seen almost everything else.
Yeah, I don't really... If it's Ether, I don't know where Ether would be.
Ether would have to be on Dark Death Mountain at that point.
It would actually be pretty funny if it was the first chest in Hookshot Cave, and it was Ether. We do see that. This may be confirmation bias speaking, just because it's so, like, memorable, but we do see the medallion required for Turtle Rock right next to it over in Hookshot Cave fairly often.
Yeah, that's actually happened to me at least once on V29. And sometimes it's not in Hookshot Cave, sometimes it's Super Bunny Cave. It's just has that really weird quality. And we are about to find out, though.
This is crazy sync for this late in the run, and the differences in their items and their things checked and stuff.
Yeah. It was Bombo, so it actually was in the light world, but it was also on Death Mountain. Right, Blaine does have the advantage of having completed Ice Palace over Mikan, but they're very synced besides from that.
I think a lot of this is going to depend on exactly when they hit go mode. Which honestly, at this point, it's probably just straight up... Probably just going to be in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, if not in Turtle Rock, then a Hookshot in here, and maybe the bow in the back of Swamp.
So if the bow is in the back of Swamp, this might be interesting, because Mikan's already done the entire left side. I would guess that Thalane would opt to skip left side Swamp if he ends up in that situation. So Mikan may not gain significant time from that, but there's still the possibility. And we see both runners actually doing this room correctly, riding the Samaria platform down without the hookshot.
Yeah, it's very easy to just autopilot this room and realize, hey, I don't have the hookshot. It's pretty... Well, it's not... I'm not gonna say it's like super rare, but it is fairly uncommon to get in here without the hookshot.
I definitely forget to do that myself more than half the time. Actually, I think the best bet in here may be finding the bow by itself and not the hookshot. And for best bet for Mikan, that is.
Yeah, most likely.
Because that bow may bait Thalane into full clearing Palace of Darkness for the hookshot.
It could. One thing to know about Palace of Darkness as well, though, is that it also is a 5/6 crystal, which will open up Pyramid Fairy when it is completed.
Oh, that's true. So that also raises the possibility that the hookshot could be at the Pyramid Fairy. But in like that being the case, I don't think you would want to skip chests in it.
Oh, Thalane is not checking the center chest here. That's risky.
That is, he might, he was in the Key Sanity tournament. He actually, he went 4-1 and was in the big tiebreaker race. I wonder if maybe the vestiges of Key Sanity routing are still on his mind. Like, that chest is definitely, that vanilla big key chest is a big deal in Key Sanity, and has it's flipped in tie races, and a lot of runners, I'm sure, still have bad memories of it.
I'm sure Christos could give us a whole thesis on that, of how much he hates the center chest in Turtle Rock.
I'd say Voligen definitely can as well. Tiebreaker race was 10 out of 10, says one of the people that managed to sequence break to the third Turtle Rock key and not have to go through a bunch of awful stuff.
Alright, well, we do find Ether. A bit late for it to even be theoretically relevant. Alright, Laser Bridge, what you got today?
That's gotta have something at this rate.
I mean, it could have nothing and try and accept the thing, but Laser Bridges have a reputation. And if you're Thalanee, you're probably thinking right now, oh, maybe I shouldn't have just skipped that chest in the middle.
I don't remember what it had. I don't remember if it had an actual item or not.
It had the map, so they'll feel better about that after they kill Trinex, but... there's always that interim stress. Did I make a mistake? Alright, well, it seems like Trinex is keeping all the good stuff to himself today. Or maybe not, we'll see. I don't think we actually checked Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny Cave before we came in here.
It's not a terrible decision either, just because Trinex is a crystal, Turtle Rock is a crystal dungeon, and you're going to be searching it for a big key at the very least.
Yeah. Did you get half magic off Trinex then?
Yep. That's... I don't really know what to make of this.
Well, I would be very pleased to see Hookshot in the Hookshot Cave.
I don't think I've seen Spike Cave.
Thalanee actually checked that fairly early on. And I believe it was just a big 20 or a piece of heart, something like that.
Oh, wow. Okay, so, the bow. This is interesting. Because now we're going to see, well, presuming Thalanee doesn't find the hookshot in Super Bunny Cave, we're going to see if he ends up losing time checking pod now.
Well,
oh, never mind.
Well, okay.
I was kind of hoping for this to even out a little bit, but I believe after an hour and 20 minutes, Thalanee is now in go mode.
Yep.
Actually, I think Mikan is in go mode at the same time.
They are, in fact, at almost the exact same time. You very rarely see that in a randomizer, but it just happened.
That's pretty crazy. Okay, so I think Thalanee definitely has the advantage here. He's gonna go straight to the end of Swamp. Mikan is gonna go, but I think Swamp is a bit quicker.
Yeah, especially with the big key location in here in pod is not nice. It's all the way in the dark maze, which is not where you want to find that, since that's one of the last locations you're probably going to check. Although we might see Mikan just go back there anyway. It's not as big of a deal when you are not looking for items, because if you're just looking for the big key, opening the big chest in the dark maze is not as much of a consideration. But I would agree that Flame almost certainly has the edge here.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about the big key location. I think that's me still having played too much Key Sanity.
Yeah, all the keys in this mode are actually in their own dungeons. I think Mikan's a little frustrated with the way they're dropping bombs.
He's definitely not happy about the way that he dropped that first bomb. Probably also not happy with the bombs the seed has dropped on him.
Yeah, very understandable. Does look like they're just going to be the standard route through pod.
Yeah, this sucks for Mikan that he still has to search for the big key.
Yeah, that's another thing that will give Thane a little edge when they come back to pod. They don't actually have to look for anything.
Yeah, Thalanee is currently not swamped with checking items, so he's in a good spot.
Yeah. See what you did there.
Thalanee going for the phase 2 quick kill with the fire rod. Does not get it. Only hits one fire rod shot, which does half the damage of a tempered spin. So actually ends up making that into a 3 cycle instead. That's part of the risk of going for that.
Yeah,
you may get 3 instead of 2.
Alright, Mikan does finally get the big key.
That's such a bad place for it in go mode.
That is the worst spot for that. Dark Maze is generally the last place you check. And it just happens to be there. In the chest all the way in the back.
I feel like we don't see just like full go mode pod too often.
Yeah. Again, this might be confirmation biased, but pod feels like it has a lot of progression most of the time. Like, there's usually good items here. So actually go moding it feels really rare. If not just because of the way the keys lay out.
And we're actually seeing both of them go into the back of pod at a pretty similar time, despite all their routing differences and the differences in what they have.
Alright, Mikan chipping away at Helmosaur. No silver arrows for the really quick kill, but Timbered Sword also does not take very long either.
Yeah, Tempered Sword is really fast. I personally do not bother switching to silvers. Speaking of silvers,
Are you magic?
is he known for calling the location of silvers in Zelda 1? Yeah, personally, I do not bother switching to silvers if I have tempered for Helmosaur, even if I do have silvers.
Yeah, I usually do just out of habit if I have them. Probably not as fast, especially if you miss your shot. So that was Thalane's final crystal. Mikan still has Swamp Palace and Ice Palace, but those will be relatively quick. So Thalane's going to be going into GT very shortly.
I think that means chat has a little game they like to play.
Yeah, they're a fan of it. Against Tower Big Key. Get your guesses in chat, where you think that's going to be. We take numbers, we take locations.
We take your credit card info.
Just for, to keep it safe, you understand. I want to see Tile Room. I don't know why. Just feeling Tile Room today. C's been too nice.
I don't know if it's been... Like, I feel like this is a thoroughly average seed.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so.
There hasn't been anything too trolly, like nothing ridiculous, but at the same time... Oh, Mikan going for the sword spin setup for the Ice Palace bomb jump. So there's for those who aren't aware, there's a little trick you can do with spin attacks. Spin attacks will not release while you were slipping into a pit. So that means that if you release one while you're slipping into a pit, it'll release on the first pixel possible once you get away from the edge, which sets you up perfectly for a lot of bomb jumps. But the nice thing about Ice Palace bomb jump in particular is that you can be anywhere from 0 to 2 pixels away from the edge, but if you're 0 pixels away, then you have an extra pixel of leniency for the y-axis position for where you stand after placing it.
It's very interesting. I actually did not know that. I knew there was a spin set up for bombs, but I did not know the details. Educating me, as well as everybody else in chat. Mikan does make quick work of Cold Stare. The lane going the right side first. Yesterday I saw a lot of runners go left side. I've been watching some of the tournament races. Despite getting a small key in the 2 chests on the right side. And I feel like that was standard a long time ago, but then actually doing right side if you got a small key came into favor. So I'm glad the lane doing that for me, made me feel not crazy. What's your preferred routing in GT, do you think?
I generally do what the lane's doing now, and it seems to be what's most popular. Like usually when I'm at the end of the seed like this, I'm not usually in the mood to gamble, because like the thing about going left side straight away is that if the big key is on right side, you are losing so much more time. It's just that the big key has a much higher chance to be on the left side because of the amount of locations. So it's a weighted. It's a really weighted decision.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the right side myself.
I think the reason that it was common to, or like standard to go left side, like a year ago, is because much older versions of the randomizer had a bug where the big key was only actually able to appear at a few specific locations.
Ah, I see.
Tile room is a weighted decision. Thank you, Cappy, for that pun. I haven't made enough of them today.
I've caught a few. Don't think you're pulling one over me. Alright, random room was a bust. Only a few more to go before we have to come back to tile room. Probably very happy we found silvers on Helmsur King. Makes this fight much simpler. They're like night-shaped balloons. Oh man. I was this close. did
Yeah,
find
that
the,
was 21, wasn't it?
I was 21. So if you guessed 21, congratulations.
You know what's even funnier than 21 now?
What's funnier than 21, Elminster?
22.
It's ridiculous. It's not even funny. Alright, well, Mikan. Finishing up Swamp Palace, heading up here to GT. Playing making really good use of the Fire Rod to speed up these gauntlet rooms.
The Fire Rod is super good in the fifth room of Gauntlet, because if he holds down left out of the door and fire it immediately, the splash damage from that Fire Rod is always going to hit the stall face. I'm kind of surprised he went for that magic pot, considering it's half magic.
Yeah, maybe he just wants to be extra certain he doesn't actually have to farm for any magic in the torch room. I don't know. Might be muscle memory. It's hard to say.
Okay, so it looks like Mikan's also going to get his big key at either 20 or 21 for him. I didn't see what happened in Thalane's torch room. But it seems like he either missed a torch or he had to relight one or something.
He took a spill on the pit as he was dashing down, and I guess that threw off the cycle, so I just reset.
Oh, okay, yeah, that would do it. Like, that torch room is normally pretty easy, but it can definitely go wrong. I've lost a sub 130 pace vanilla NMG run because I went to light the third torch, the left one, and I swear I lit it, but I looked back at the video and it actually didn't light, so I got to the end and the door wasn't open.
Oh.
And then I went back to light it immediately, and then the cycle was completely off after that.
Yeah, it's just one of those rooms, can be annoying in the right or wrong circumstances, rather.
At least, like, it's not as bad with half magic. Like, it's especially not as bad in randomizer because you've got possibility of having half magic. You might have a bottle with something in it. But like, if you're in a position where you could run out of magic in Ganon's tower, that's really impossible to recover from, honestly. Thalane getting a very, very nice first round of Vaga 2 with a triple.
Yeah, not as much luck on the following ones, but this looks pretty good. Yeah, there we go. Thalane heading off to Ganon now.
I expect Mikan's gonna get the same triple It's not a difficult setup.
Alright, Ganon should also be fairly simple with this equipment. Tippered sword, red mail, silvers, half magic. You got everything.
I think he's going to get a 2+2 cycle here, the first 2 phases. Not quite optimal.
Alright, just 4 silver arrows. Getting the free hit. Does miss the torch glitch, but not very important with this equipment.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth attempting to time it at all, really, with silvers. It's pretty inconsequential.
And that does set the lane. Taking down Ganon. It explodes into stardust. Not even from this game, but saves Hyrule all the same.
Alright, and we have our winner for this match. Congratulations, Thalanee.
GG. Official SRTP time, 1 hour, 42 minutes, 46 seconds. Very well played by them. See if we can't get him in here. A little chat. Mikan making their way up Ganon's tower in the meantime. Ooh, getting a nice double kill with a dash. Alright, hello Thalanee, GG, congrats on your win.
I still see him muted in Discord. Oh, there he is.
Oh, there we go. Hey, yeah, GG, I guess.
Yeah, hello. So what are your thoughts on that seed?
I don't know, like, I felt like I did a lot of wrong routing choices, but I guess my execution was really good, compared to my other runs. So, yeah.
Yeah, one routing choice that you made that actually paid off for you quite a lot was getting that flute in Beast Town.
Yeah.
Mikan put that off for quite a while, even going so far as to dip into Swamp Palace before they went back there.
Oh, that hurts. Alright. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about clearing Thieves Town because I only got 2 items up front, right? And yeah, I decided to go for it because I was practicing the blind fight earlier, and so I wanted to try it, and yeah, so that was the main reason I went and cleared it, to be honest. And it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, it did.
It's pretty funny when it comes down to something like that.
Yeah, that said, it was still a pretty close race. Mikan's coming up on here on Aghanim 2 now.
Oh, yeah, I figured because I think Mikan is a really good runner as well. So I was kind of scared for this first matchup, to be honest.
Yeah, I definitely would have been on my toes as well. If I were either one of you, to be honest. Another thing that held Mikan back may have been fortunate for him since he put off the flute for so long, but he did not find the fire rod in the Ice Rod Cave for quite a while, until after he got the flute, actually. So he was not able to get Titan's Mitt.
Yeah, that was a really funny placement for the fire rod, all things considered.
You guys actually entered Go mode at within 30 seconds of each other.
Oh, so what were Mikan's Go mode items?
It was also the hookshot.
I see. Hookshot
After getting the bow.
Yeah.
So you both did Turtle Rock at the same time. You both opened the dungeon at the same time, and then did Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny Cave right after. But at that time, you had completed Ice Palace, and he had not. And he also, your sequence break into Palace of Darkness, well, you didn't really find anything there. You did have the big key at the time, and he did not. And since it was a dark maze, he had quite a fun time searching for that.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I re-entered pod. I was like, oh no, he can Go mode it probably. But then I was like thinking back where the big key was, and I think it was like pretty late. So yeah, he must have like almost full cleared the dungeon as well. So that was pretty good for me.
Yes.
South chest in the dark maze.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So how about skipping the Turtle Rock big key chests when you were still in Go mode?
I don't know. Isn't it like if you get there with 0 keys, you can just skip the chest? I'm not too sure though.
No, that's definitely not the case.
All right. So,
well, like the thing is, you're also not in Go mode. You're still searching for bow and hookshot. So we were wondering kind of what was going through your mind at that time.
Yeah, that's like one of the things I'm like never sure of, but now I know, I guess.
Yeah. If you're still looking for items, it's never safe to skip that chest. But if you have the big key, you have no key. You can just get that small key from the pokey and go to the boss at that point.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we do have Mikan cleaning up Ganon and finishing as well.
Alright, here's Mikan. Hey, Chi-Chi. Maybe having a mic issue at the moment.
Is that so?
Is that so? Yeah, hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm pretty upset, honestly, because every single 29 seed I play is like this. It never fails. Every single one.
Would you like to elaborate for us?
The last item syndrome that always seems to happen. Like, I haven't had that much experience with this. I've played maybe 10 or 15 in this new version, but every single one has done this, and it's actually infuriating.
Yeah, obviously that skipping the backside of Thieves Town early did end up costing you because the flute was there.
The flute didn't even unlock anything for me at the time. But I did enough traveling to where it probably would have saved minutes still.
Yeah, definitely. Really, the only thing you had left after that was the Ice Rod Cave, which had the Fire Rod.
And the seed was set up perfectly to skip Ice Rod Cave and go straight to Desert because it was absolutely completable right before we even got down there.
That was a very, very unfortunate quality of the seed. You both ended up going to Desert and just skipping that for a long time. Thalanee did go there earlier because they did full clear at Thieves Town and get the flute, so they had an easy opportunity to get that than you did at the time. Yeah, so
I feel like this is kind of like it might be overstated at times, but I do think this was a scene where the case was both people making reasonable plays and one worked out and one didn't.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The port chest check in Thieves Town, especially when it's up in a dungeon, is very common. It also didn't make no sense to just complete that. They did find 2 items in the front, so there were 2 in the back. So I guess that was what the lane ended up doing. They found 2 items, and they wanted to just clear that out, and that's why they ended up going in the back. But I do agree that it was probably more tempting at that point just to check the 4 chests, because we did get book, so we knew for a fact that pedestal was not required. So I don't think you made a particularly unreasonable decision at all, Mikan.
I also
I didn't-
think.
I didn't think so at the time either.
Yeah, I also think it was the better choice to not clear it, to be honest. I was just like really lucky.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know. Just one of the 7 Swiss rounds for us. Do you guys have any other thoughts?
No, I just want to say thank you for restreaming, commentating, and tracking as always.
Yeah, sure. On that note, let's give some thanks to our tracker, High Def Lomain, awesome name by the way, and our restreamers on us. We do appreciate you guys making this possible. And of course, Mikan, Thalanee, putting on a great race for us. Definitely give those guys a follow. Give a follow if you want to see more of this, and of course you do, to Speed Gaming, all the Speed Gaming channels, all the ALTTPR Randomizer channels. There's quite a few of them, so make sure you give those guys some attention. And thank you very much for Elminster for stepping in and doing commentary with me. I had a lot of fun. It was very informative.
Yep, I think we did a pretty good commentary together. So thanks for that as well.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I hope we get to do more. Any final thoughts, Elminster, before we go?
Oh, me? Nah, I don't think so. I didn't play the seed, so I don't know that I have too much to add.
Alrighty. Alright, well, I think that'll about do it for us, though there is still a lot of rando action going on today, so make sure you check that out. Still tons and tons of Swiss races to go, and we'll hope to see you there. Have a good day.
See ya.